This sport is sponsored by Audible. Padres make a massive deal acquiring Mason Miller and JP Sears for four top prospects, including Leo DeVries. And David Bednar is on his way to the Yankees as of a few minutes ago. And Bader's going from the Twins to the Phillies. If you're stuck in traffic, why not unleash your adventure side? Audible delivers thrills of all kinds with gripping audiobooks, captivating originals, and hotly anticipated new releases. Start listening free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
No fluff, just facts.
So, you thought the MLB trade deadline was a safe space, huh?
Kidding, we're not in Kansas anymore.
AJ Preller grabs A's closer Mason Miller.
Miller at the belt, the right-hander to the plate. The 2-2 pitch is swung on, a fly ball to center field, and Lawrence will make the catch, and the A's get the victory.
And pitcher JP Sears. But at what cost? Plus, we made it. And
Welcome in San Diego Sports 760. We got a busy one today. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock. John and Jim will take over then. And we thought we were opening up because of a massive trade that went down 3 hours ago with the Padres, and we will, but a new trade has just come down within the last 5 minutes from Jeff Passan. But let's start with the first one. Padres got Mason Miller from the A's, as well as left-handed starting pitcher JP Sears. Mason Miller, hard-throwing closer, at least so far. He joins what people are calling the super bullpen of the San Diego Padres. I like that name. And it'll stay the super bullpen unless Suarez gets moved a little bit later today. But the A's are getting back Leo DeVries, Braden Nett, Henry Baez, and Eduardiel Nunez, excuse me. So Padres making huge moves. That is the biggest splash of the day from anyone so far in Major League Baseball. And Mason Miller, that's a huge get for the San Diego Padres, who are adding to what it was already one of Major League Baseball's better bullpens. And then not 5 minutes ago, Jeff Passan tweets out, the San Diego Padres are acquiring Freddie Furman from the Kansas City Royals for right-hander Ryan Bergert. Sources telling ESPN the full trade details for that one are that the Padres are getting the catcher, Freddie Furman, who, by the way, I have his stats pulled up here in front of me. He is hitting .255 on the season so far with 3 home runs, a 1.2 WAR, and 192 at-bats. The Royals are getting both Bergert and Kolek per Jeff Passan 2 minutes ago. So Padres sending 2 pitchers over who have gotten Major League Baseball time this year for catcher Freddie Furman from the Royals. I'll be honest, gut reaction on this one, because this one just came down. I don't like it. I thought Ryan Bergert showing you some really nice things so far this year, and so is Stephen Kolek, and you're getting a catcher who's hitting .255, which, yeah, is an upgrade over your current catchers, but not a huge upgrade. The guy has 3 homers on the season.
Preller said, F them prospects, boy.
F them prospects has been the tone of the day. Let's, all right. Well, let's get immediate text line reaction, 70470. Start your message with team from the newest trade that's gone down. Then we'll kind of get back into the trade from earlier this morning. But Padres are getting the catcher, Freddie Furman from the Kansas City Royals. Again, he's hitting .255 on the season so far, 3 home runs, but they are giving up right-handed pitcher Ryan Bergert, who has become a fan favorite early in his days with the Padres, the Bergert King, as well as right-handed pitcher Stephen Kolek, who's had some serious innings for the Padres so far this year. Text us 70470. Start your message with team. How do you feel about that trade? And how do you feel about the original trade from this morning where Leo DeVries, the number 3 prospect in all of baseball, the number 1 prospect in the Padres farm system, has been moved to the Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas Athletics to bring back the hard-throwing reliever, 26 years old, controllable for 4 more years after this one, Mason Miller. I actually like that deal. We can get into that. But, Sammy, it's been a whirlwind already.
Yes, lot to react to. Yes, please text us 70470. Start your message with team. Leave us a talk back on the iHeart app if you would like to chime in. We're going to give the phone line out here in a minute as well. I believe Fletch has that in front of him. In terms of
that means Sammy don't know the phone number.
I forgot it. I was about to throw it out. I was like,
877-767-4760. Call us all day long. We're just putting you straight on the air.
Yeah. Okay. So just immediate reaction to the trade. Wow. AJ Preller. There's so many things to unpack here. In terms of let's take away the long-term aspects and just start with what it means for this year.
Which trade are you going to?
We're going Mason, but we're going to the big one.
Okay.
This morning. Mason Miller, this is a guy who throws 104 out of the pen. I mean, you're talking about a guy who everyone was trying to get. The Dodgers were trying to get him. The Yankees were trying to get him. Every team
His
was.
average pitch this year is over 101 miles per hour.
It's lethal. And you already add him to, I mean, now it's what, the 5 horsemen or whatever? We got to get a new nickname for the bullpen.
Unless one of them moves.
But I think that'll be next. Yeah, unless one of them moves, there's always the thought that maybe Suarez gets dealt.
We still got 3 hours to go, man. AJ, it feels like he's just getting started.
I mean, in terms of this year, now, I mean, we've talked about how starting pitching has been iffy at times and at best. Well, Yu Darvish was fantastic last night. Now you only need these guys. If it's a game 7 in the playoffs, you need these guys to go 4 innings because you literally hand it to the pen after the 4th inning and let them go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an amazing get. JP Sears is a tricky pitcher, not had the best ERA this year, but
it frees you up to move Cease, which is still the Padres' biggest card that they have currently that we all expect still to be moved by the time the trade deadline comes.
And I'm telling you, I mentioned this the other day. We talked about Dylan Cease. Do not be surprised if Mike Schilt, if they're playing some big time lineup in the Dodgers or the Phillies or whatever, if he starts the game out with one of his big time closers to get through the top of the order, lets a guy like Sears or Cease, if they're here, go a few innings, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then give it to the bullpen. You have so many options now in terms of Mason Miller. It was a massive get. No one really thought the Padres were in on him, but wow. I mean, AJ Preller.
We're going to be at this all day long. So I know from noon to 6, John and Jim planning on opening up the phone lines too. Call us 877-767-4760. We'd love to talk some Padres with you on your lunch break today. So 2 moves so far for the Padres that are big moves, man. Ryan Berger and Stephen Kolek both leaving the Padres in trade. Those 2 kind of sting. I really like Ryan Berger. You've heard me talk about that a lot. To get catcher Freddie Furman, which was obviously a position of need. It's not like he's hitting 300 this year. He's hitting 255 with a few home runs. But Freddie Furman coming over, maybe that stabilizes that position. And then the big one of the day, probably the biggest trade in baseball so far, was Mason Miller, the closer for the A's, as well as starting pitcher JP Sears, both coming over to the Padres. But Preller dug into the prospects. Leo DeVries, who is potentially one of the best prospects in all of baseball. A lot of people thinking he could be the number 1 overall prospect in Major League Baseball starting next year. Is no longer a Padre. Well, and that adds to the list of prospects that Preller's moved who have superstar potential.
So, okay, let's get into that. So take away. So obviously for this year, makes Padres much
Let's
better.
Just think about what's coming over.
Yes. Yeah. What's coming over? The Padres are, I think, a much larger threat to win a World Series now. I do not think they're the favorite still, but I think that they are going to be a hell of a team in the playoffs to get out. Now, it's funny talking about the AJ Preller aspect of this. If I'm AJ Preller, I had no reason to hang on to Leo DeVries because my contract runs out at the end of 2026. Coach Kentera, who'll be joining us at 1:30, a little special pre-deadline edition, was kind of first in on this. You never let a GM go into the last year of their contract without something. That's just whatever sport this is, NFL, NBA, or MLB. That's just kind of rule 101. AJ Preller is like, hold on, why do I want to hold Leo DeVries in 3 top pitching prospects, especially your number 5 overall, so the next guy that comes in can have Leo DeVries and everyone goes, hey, look at this. So from AJ Preller's perspective, I completely understand the move. You made a point before the show. I am a little surprised that the ownership let this happen. And if you're not going to extend AJ Preller for years out.
So your reaction was my gut reaction. I was like, oh, AJ's going all in protecting his job. He's understanding that this has become World Series or bust, not only for the Padres, but for him as a general manager. But then you think one step further and you're like, well, if the ownership was thinking about letting him go after next season or letting him go into a lame duck year, which never happens to your point, there's no way in hell they'd let him make this move because they want to hold on to their prospects.
And Shil Seidler is on Twitter defending him right now.
In all seriousness, I think this is a commitment to AJ Preller. By letting him go trade Leo DeVries, I think that means AJ Preller's here for a while, regardless of what happens this year.
Well, that's the thing. If so, obviously, if they go deep in the playoffs, he's going to be here. But if, God forbid, they went one and done in the playoffs or won one series and got ousted, then you'd have a real decision because AJ, this is the second time he's gone in. The Juan Soto deal, you trade James Wood. In this deal, you trade a guy that could be the next, people are talking about top prospect in baseball, your Fernando Tatis, your guys like that. And unfortunately for the Padres, we have to watch the Nationals have all the Padres young talent. So they went in again, and you're going in for a team that now is a real threat to win a World Series. But I'm just really curious. We got the rest of the day. Cease is still possibly getting moved. possibly
I'd
Robert.
say probably at this point because you brought in a new starting pitcher. I think Suarez might be staying. The latest we heard from Dennis Lin is that the Padres, unless they're blown away by a trade offer, they're keeping Suarez and adding to this super bullpen. Let's real quick, Sammy. This year, the Mason Miller thing, I actually really like that trade. I think the text line just called me soft, but I like the trade for Mason Miller. I really do, because I think it's a commitment to the fans. I think it's a commitment to this team, and I think it's AJ Preller and ownership understanding you don't have that much longer with these guys in their prime. Manny Machado is playing like he's in his prime right now. Hell, Xander Bogaerts has had a little bit of a resurgence here. One of the better hitters in baseball over the last month and a half. Fernando Tatis Jr. is knocking on the door of his athletic prime. You're understanding that the next 10 years of Padres baseball might not be that great. So why not go in all in right now and have that bullpen that you get into the postseason? Nobody wants to face them. So let's go over some reaction from the fans here. Call us 877-767-4760.
858 said AJ cooking, baby. LFG bullpen. Can't read the rest of that, but that's funny.
Funny text.
949 from a Dodgers fan. Padres move got me shaking in my Chonies.
Those would be underwear, Sammy.
Oh, okay.
323, as a Scavengers A's fan, it's just par for the course. A's trading young talent for more young talent that's cheaper. What a shocker. Congrats to the Padres. Hey, Fisher, sell the damn team. I like that.
858 prospects have zero help in winning a World Series this year. Great trades all around.
Look, the only one that I'm a little bit upset about is the one where Ryan Berger and Steven Kolick are both gone.
But Ryan Berger won't be on the roster for the playoffs.
Yeah, but he's been nice so far this year.
I'm with you.
Berger I think he has a chance to crack the postseason.
But there's no way. Let's just be honest. If Ryan Berger were starting a postseason game, that's bad. Like, that's the youth realistically thinking you're going to win in the postseason with Ryan Berger.
You're probably right. And
pitching,
they needed a catcher.
Because Sears is coming in. Maybe that means Cease is staying. Paris says not sure about these trades. So some mixed reaction going on. I know some people online were like,
people, when the trade first came down, I was all over Twitter at the time, and people were pissed. In fact, Jim Russell from John and Jim, uneffing believable was his gut reaction when Jim finally woke up and saw the Jeff Passan tweet. But you look, I get it. And people were upset that Leo DeVries is gone. Prospect hugging is never something I've been a fan of. I've understood the Soto trade where literally you sent off your entire farm system to bring in Juan Soto. But guess what? It gave them a shot that year to win a World Series. That's exactly what this does. This gives you a shot this year to become a legitimate World Series winning team. And I mean, outside of some of the moves that like the Mariners made, that the Phillies made today, where both those teams got a lot better too, you could say the Padres so far have had the best day at the trade deadline.
Okay, so yeah, there's a lot there with the who else got better because there's some big moves made elsewhere as well. Let's just say right now, for the sake of it, text 70470, start your message with team. Let us know if the Padres make no more moves today. They keep Suarez, they keep Cease. Like, where is this team at? Where does this team rank in the NL right now? Because the bullpen's money. The bullpen is probably the best in baseball. Or
what Yonder Alonso say today on MLB Network? He's like, get to the third inning and it's game over.
Yeah, I mean that's the bullpen's unbelievable. The starting rotation, pretty good, pretty solid. That's a team that could go far in the playoffs. But as of right now, I think the main concern would be you still don't have backhand bats. And I know Steven Kwan's the name that everyone's in on. The Dodgers are in on him. The Padres are in on him. Everyone's there. But if you don't add a bat, I wonder how far this team can go with that. Because I feel like now, since you already went all in, like, go get Steven Kwan. Go, like, why hold a couple more prospects back if you're like go all in? I think
that's the plan. I think they're probably going to be moving someone at the major league level to try to get either Jarren Duran or Steven Kwan. I think there's still moves to be made. AJ Cassavell said as much, and Dennis Lin has said as much as well. Kevin Acee as well, our Union Tribune insider here. We're going to take a quick break. Keep the text coming in, 70470. Start your message with team. If you want to use the talkback mic today on the free iHeartRadio app, it's a great day to do so. Give us your thoughts on the Padres trade so far and what's still to come. Jonas Knox is going to be swinging by the show at 12:30. We'll talk some trade deadline with him. We will also talk some Hall of Fame game coming up a little bit later tonight. Coach Kentera, maybe the most important Coach Kentera interview we've ever had, coming up at 1:30 today. You're not going to want to miss that. It's San Diego Sports 760, sticking with the Padres, coming up next live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760, and it is trade deadline day, and Major League Baseball stuff is already popping off, especially with the San Diego Padres, who have made 2 significant moves so far. If you're just catching up, the first one came down around 9 o'clock this morning, or maybe a little earlier. Padres received closer Mason Miller, who is a hard throwing, averaging 101 miles per hour per pitch so far this year, as well as left-handed pitcher JP Sears, so a bullpen piece and a starting pitcher. But in the process, the Padres have shipped off shortstop prospect number 3 overall in Major League Baseball, Leo DeVries, as well as 3 minor league pitchers. And then just about 15 minutes ago, the Padres made another move. Excuse me. Full trade between San Diego and Kansas City per ESPN. Padres got catcher Freddie Fermin, who's hitting around 255 this year. Royals got both right-handed pitcher Ryan Berger and right-handed pitcher Stephen Kolek, who've both given the Padres good innings so far this season. We've been asking for your text, 70470. Start your message with team on this. We've also been asking for your talkbacks on the free iHeartRadio app. Just open it up, listen to San Diego Sports 760, find that little red microphone icon. You could leave us a 30-second voicemail on the free iHeartRadio app about these Padres moves. So far on the text line from the 858, this team is hot. No way they get rid of any significant pieces. I do have a feeling a significant piece may move by the end of this trade deadline, which is coming up at 3 o'clock. Dylan Cease still named number 1 on that list.
Yeah, there are 4. I'm going to get to it in a second. We got a great talk back I want to play, but there's like 4 big pitchers remaining starting pitching. So Dylan Cease for the Padres, Gallen and Kelly for the Diamondbacks, and then Alcantara for the Marlins, who sounds like the Yankees might be in on him. There's some reports there that they're really trying to go get him. So Cease, like, I don't know where Cease ranks in that. Kelly doesn't have the best stuff. He just has good location.
The Astros seem to have been in on Cease from the start, and they think that they could turn him into back to Dylan Cease for a World Series push for the Astros this year. We'll see. It depends on the price, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously his deal's up, so there's something there. Like Alcantara is the most coveted player because he's under control for the next few seasons, but Cease would certainly command a lot. You wonder if the Diamondbacks move one or both of them. They've already traded so many players with Eugenio Suarez and guys like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm really stoked for the next couple hours, see what's going on. If they can get a bat here at the back of the lineup.
That feels like the most important thing. We are in breaking news mode here. And in fact, on Major League Baseball Network right now, they're talking about Dylan Cease. It seems like that's the next big domino to fall. We'll see. AJ is not done. That much has been made clear by AJ Cassavell, Kevin Acee, and Dennis Lynn, who cover this team. 619 texts in, says the Padres are making stupid moves and overpaying for everyone. A lot of mixed reaction, man. 619, they need that bat. Go get that bat, and we ride. 484, go get a cheap right-handed bat. Different 484 numbers text in, says Quan is nice, but he's another lefty for this lineup. Or just go get both, Quan and Duran.
I mean, might as well.
Yeah,
you're already in. You're in this far, so why? I mean, saving prospects. Who cares about all that?
If you're already thinking about the next 5 years, it's not going to be pretty. So might as well go all in for 2025. Sammy, we got to talk back from our buddy Quacked on Padres. Let's cue that up. Let's give it a play.
Oh yeah, Quacked on Padres here. Stoked. I mean, win now. It has to be now. I know the catcher doesn't seem like the best move, but dude, 100 points above our current catcher average, that's huge. I mean, at Mason Miller, what can you say? So I'm stoked.
Can I get a...
yeah. Shout out to Quack,
Save that,
man.
Sammy. We're going to need that as a drop for the rest of eternity. Look, you're right about the catcher position. That literally came down seconds to us being on air today. Like, Sammy didn't even know Kolek was a part of it until we went to commercial break. But Kolek and Berger, who have both given the Padres good innings so far this year, are both out. So that's the only reason I was hesitant on it. Obviously, they needed a catcher, and I think they overspent.
I don't think that means they're keeping Dylan Cease.
It doesn't.
Because you give up 2 pitchers that, again, were not pitching in the playoffs. And if they were pitching in the playoffs, that's a massive
You've
concern.
already added 2 pitchers. One of them's a starter. One of them's a bullpen piece.
So Sears is there. And then to the point that Yonder Alonso is making on MLB Network, I mean, the beautiful thing about what AJ Preller just did is with Mason Miller, you don't have to have a pitcher go deep in games. You don't have to have a guy go 6-7 innings. If they do, that's fantastic. You're just saving the pen for if they go to extras or the next day. But in a 1-game scenario. Now you can't do this every night because you'll burn through the bullpen, but in a 1-game scenario, if you can get to through the 4th inning and you hand it to these 5 guys, I mean, it should be lights out. Now the bats better come through. That's why I do think at the end of the lineup, it would be nice to get a Stephen Kwan, someone like that. Luis Robert Jr. is still out there. Doesn't sound like Marcell Ozuna is going to get moved. He has like a clause where he can kind of determine where he's going to go. So
Kevin kind of threw cold water on that earlier this week anyways with the Marcell Ozuna thing, thinking about stuff in his past that the Padres have stayed away from that. The Cubs have entered into the Dylan Cease chat. They've been there. The Houston Astros have been there, obviously, on the Dylan Cease chat.
It's on MLB Network that they're one of the top destinations. If you're the Padres and you're obviously going for it this year,
you might be playing the Cubs.
You're going to be playing the Cubs. You want to trade Dylan Cease to the Cubs? I mean, you're looking at the Dodgers are legit. The Phillies got Duran. The one thing they needed was a closer, so they're going to be filthy. The Brewers and the Cubs keep going back and forth. The Mets are formidable, but as we just saw, the Padres just swept them. And with these moves, I certainly think the Padres would jump the Mets. And you can argue with the rest of those teams, but I mean, I certainly would not want to be helping out anyone in the NL because it does feel like an arms race there.
Today is about fan reaction. We want to hear from you, Padres fans. Hit us up on the text line 70470. Start your message with team. Hit us up on the talkback mic like our buddy Quacktop Padres just did. And Sammy, I'm dead serious. We are playing 50 more times during this show at bare minimum. But hit us up on the talkback mic. Just open up the free iHeartRadio app. Listen live to San Diego Sports 760. Find that little red microphone button. Leave us a 30-second talkback. We would love to hear from you on these Padres trades made so far. There's been 2 so far. I'm going to set the over-under at 3.5, Sammy. You going over or under?
3.5. So, okay, so you think...
Is there 1 more or is there 2 more?
1, because here's my thing. I get the fact that Suarez is a free agent after the year. And
what if Cease gets moved in like 5 minutes and then you get a bunch of prospects that you could then flip for someone else? That's the way I'm seeing 4 happen.
Yeah. Here's why I'm going to go 1 more.
3.5 over under.
I think Cease gets moved. I don't think Cronenworth gets moved because if you're going to trade Cease, you're probably going to try to get prospects to get Kwan, and you need bats. I think it'd be a real mistake to trade Cronenworth right now when that would probably be the one spot of the team looking right now that's a weakness is the back end of the lineup. You want to add another bat there. Suarez, I think there's too much allure with having 5 excellent pieces in the bullpen. David Morgan's a nice piece as well, but we're not including him in that 5. I think it would be Mason Miller coming in, but then you trade Suarez. I think that'd be kind of considered a wash. Miller's maybe a better player, but I don't know that.
By the numbers so far this year, Suarez is the better pitcher. Just by pure ERA, amount of saves, everything like that.
Miller has been a little all over the place, but the thing
Miller's been on fire the last month.
And someone who can throw 104 and coming in for 1 inning and you can control, and you're not relying on a guy because the bullpen is so strong. You're not relying on Miller to go multiple innings. He can come in for 1 inning in the 9th, in the 8th. If Suarez is here, who's closing?
And you got 4 more years of Miller, and potentially some of those years are going to end up being as a starting pitcher. All right, we got to take a break. Keep the reaction coming in. Keep it any way you can. Text line, talkback mic, call us 877-767-4760. We'd love to hear from you today, Padres fans. But coming up next, we're going to get into a little more trade deadline with our guy, Jonas Knox, national radio superstar, kind of looks like Clark Kent, Superman. And we're going to talk some NFL with him, too, as the Hall of Fame game is tonight. So that's next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The breaking news of the day. Padres getting right-handed star closer Mason Miller and left-handed pitcher J.P. Spears in return. The A's are getting Leo DeVries, the Padres' #1 prospect, right-handed pitcher Braden Nett, right-handed pitcher Henry Baez, and Eduardo Nunez. Rebate funds are running out fast. Don't get left behind. At Anderson Plumbing, they're buying back your old water heater and giving you $500 in instant savings. Call Anderson PHA today. Nobody wows clients like they do.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. A text from the 484, death to drinking because in San Diego, because we are Miller Time Town now. Get on that high life. A terrible beer pun for you boys from Handyman Matt. Yes, we are Miller Time Town now. It is going to be fun here with 104 coming off the mound at Petco Park. Can't wait to see it. Although ESPN Plus can be certified as prospect huggers now, because what did they give the trade for Mason Miller from the Padres?
A D+.
A D+ from ESPN?
ESPN is not a fan.
Might give them a D+. Well, good thing Fox Sports radio expert Jonas Knox is joining us right now. Jonas, what's going on, bro?
What's happening, guys? How we feeling? So they gave you guys a 4 rating for the return?
Yeah, ESPN's not happy that Leo DeVries, who is the #3 prospect in all of baseball, a shortstop prospect in the Padres farm system, is moving over to the Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas Athletics in exchange for a closer who throws 104 miles an hour in Mason Miller.
I love when people put grades on lotto scratchers.
Right.
That's what prospects are. That's what draft picks are. And so when you include a bunch of draft picks, people just assume, oh my God, you gave up that many picks for that one guy. Well, if the one guy is already established and the other picks are basically lotto scratchers and you have no idea what they're going to turn into, how's that a bad move? I've never understood it. But you got to put a grade on everything. Otherwise, you're not doing your job these days. So
you hear Jonas Knox every morning right here on San Diego Sports 760 on 2 Pros and a Cup of Joe. Jonas is one of my favorite in the sports media world. Jonas, where does MLB trade deadline day rank for you? Is that pretty high up the list? Because it is for a sport that is kind of boring a lot of the summer. Trade deadline day never really fails.
Oh, I think it's the best one, the most consistent at least. The NBA is decent. The NHL gets some activity. The NFL doesn't hardly really seem like it gets much going on. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of big names generally who get traded. Occasionally you'll hear some. But MLB, that always seems like the one to where you're going to get teams, your usual suspects like the Padres, who I believe traded Bednar to the Yankees, and teams like that are always going to be active, even if they've got good players. And especially this year, because I think the expectation, or at least the thought from a lot of people, was that, well, it's the Dodgers and everybody else. And as you guys have seen, being so up close and me being here in Los Angeles, they are so flawed that all of a sudden at this point in the year, everybody realizes, oh, wait, maybe we do have a shot. And so you're seeing everybody get more active and get more aggressive. And so I think that's why we've seen so many moves being made. Whether or not more moves are made, I've heard Dylan Cease could be on his way out. Who knows? It seems like they've been trying to work on something there. But MLB trade deadline, of all the trade deadlines, I think it's probably near the top, or at least at the top.
Jonas, switching to football real quick. So Hall of Fame game tonight. How excited do you get for the preseason, like in general, or are you just waiting for the regular season?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love the Hall of Fame game. I love how lackadaisical people are about preseason football. They don't even paint the end zones half the time. You're not even sure if the yard markers are accurately spaced right. It's just the whole thing, the whole production. As somebody who's actually paid money to go to an NFL preseason game, a Bears-Dolphins game, and literally was there for a half and spent the entire time just walking around the stadium with my fiance, now wife at the time, just looking at the sights and sounds, I think it's fantastic. It's affordable for the most part to get into these games. You're going to see people get their only playing time ever in the NFL, and it doesn't matter. And on top of that, you could gamble on it. Why would anybody not want to partake in gambling on an exhibition where the participants that you're gambling on couldn't care less what happens? I think it's wonderful. football's back, and we're through the hard part of the season.
Jonas Knox, 2 pros and a cup of Joe. You hear him every morning here on San Diego Sports 760. Joining us today on MLB trade deadline day. Padres already making a couple moves. We'll see what else happens. Like Jonas just said, Dylan Cease could be on the move anytime now as well. AJ Preller is doing AJ Preller things today. But Jonas, tonight, Chargers and Lions. Also, Antonio Gates going to be honored as he's heading into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like, is Dan Campbell crazy enough to play anyone tonight? Have you heard anything on that?
No, what I've heard, I know Jim Harbaugh said Trey Lance is going to get some burn time. He'll get the start. There's going to be other veterans that'll sit out. I think it's Hendon Hooker is going to get the start for the Lions on their end as far as the quarterback goes. I can't imagine anybody runs the risk. But what's interesting is that you're hearing players like Tua Tagovailoa came out and said, yeah, I want more reps in the preseason. He's only played sparingly in the preseason throughout his career, especially under Mike McDaniel. Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor have said, we want to play more in the preseason because if you've looked at the history of the Bengals, their starts to their seasons have doomed them. They're one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. They're a loaded roster. And they've missed the playoffs the last 2 years, and you go to how they performed early on in the season, they're both like, dude, we need some more reps. We need to get more reps. We need to get more preseason time. We need to actually be out there so we feel like we're ready to go and not getting out the slow starts in the season. So I don't think in tonight's game we're going to see a ton of starters, but I do think this preseason we're going to see more than we probably have in the past.
Jonas, John Harbaugh said today that Lamar Jackson is a historically good passer. Heading into next season, who do you think has more pressure on him, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson?
Oh, geez. That's a good question. I would say Lamar Jackson, just from the standpoint that we've seen Josh Allen get to AFC title games, and we've seen him play at a high level, and something goes wrong, and then you just kind of take a step back and you go, oh, it's the Bills. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, well, I mean, listen, they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. Like, this is par for the course. You hope they get there. You hope they're able to do something magical. But if they couldn't figure it out with 4 chances in a row to spin the wheel, then you just assume that, hey, listen, is what it is, and that's how things are going to go for their organization historically. Lamar Jackson has played well in a couple of spots since the slow starts to the playoffs. But if we want to go back a couple of years ago, they were the best team in the NFL. They were hosting the Chiefs at home and were favored. Everything was set up for them, and they still laid an egg. It feels like the Lamar Jackson discussion and narrative, if you will, has been mobile quarterback, can't get it done in the playoffs, can't win big games with that guy. At some point, they're going to have to start delivering. And if they've got advantages like home field and still aren't able to come through, if you guys remember a few years back, they had home field advantage in the playoffs. Tennessee rolled through. Ryan Tannehill threw for like 4.5 yards. Derrick Henry was throwing the jump pass touchdowns. And they beat Baltimore in Baltimore and won that. So there's just been more devastating losses, especially at home, for Lamar Jackson. I think the pressure's on him.
858, Jonas Knox has the greatest Twitter feed of all time. The people love him. That is an absolute fact. Jonas Knox, 2 pros and a cup of Joe, joining us today on San Diego Sports 760. You hear him every day here on this station, right before Dan Patrick every single morning. Jonas, I did want to talk about social media for a second, so I'm glad that the 858 brought up your Twitter feed. Because days like today and the trade deadline in the NFL and the offseason in the NFL are the days where the dudes who have little AI tricks who can make their account look like Jeff Passan or like Adam Schefter are tricking everybody out there. Does that piss you off a little bit? Because it feels like they've gotten better.
You know, it used to bother me because I'm like, man, get a life. And then I realized, you know what, though? They're like those guys that ran liquor stores back in the day. They couldn't afford to buy Oakleys to sell you Oakleys, so they sold you Okies with the L missing. Then they you just replace like a letter on some of the merchandise, and you go, well, what's the difference? Like, it's not 7-Up, it's like 7-Year. You know, the P's and R. Like, it just, you look at it, you go, you know, what's the difference? I mean, you're not paying as much. It tastes somewhat similar. Maybe it's not the same thing. I just think this is an ode to all those old school liquor store owners who used to, mess with their merchandise to try and let it fly off the shelves. So at least if you were standing far enough back, you go, well, those are name brand glasses. No, they're not. They're frauds. Those were bought in Tijuana and shipped over on a donkey after a performance down south, and they slung it to you, and you paid 75 to 90% less than anybody else for something that looked close to it. I admire their ability and their lack of a life to be able to create some of these fake accounts and fake trades. And then I just think if we're going to be fair, don't judge people for falling for it. Instead, give credit where credit is due for the creation of the project.
100%, 100%. Going back to the NFL real quick. So we've seen some guys who were holding out report to camp, Trey Hendrickson, Terry McLaurin, and Micah Parsons doing a hold-in. What play out of those affects their team the most if they don't play this season?
I would say Micah Parsons because he's the best player. Trey Hendrickson, I'll be honest with you, man. I was team Trey all the way, and like just to see the way that he's handled this whole thing, to where like he posts some picture on social media a week ago and is like, it's like one of those losers back in the day who had Facebook, who instead of just coming out right and saying, hey, I broke up with somebody last night, they would change their status to it's complicated, so that people would start asking them questions like, hey, everything okay? Hey, everything all right? And so Trey Hendrickson posts some picture of him driving down a road in Florida, and everybody just assumes, oh man, he's really sticking to his guns. Less than a week later, the guy's back at camp. But don't worry, I'm not going to practice and I won't play unless we get a contract done. Dude, make up your mind. Can we get a legitimate holdout? And if you're Trey Hendrickson, like do something drastic. Bury Skyline Chili or a local awful Cincinnati restaurant. Go that direction and really turn into a villain and play this whole thing through. Enough with the dancing around the subject, pretending you're going to hold out and then not actually going through with it, because that is basically AI. It's supposed to be something else, but the reality is much different than what you're presenting. Hopefully we can get one of those so it makes it more interesting to discuss, but I think Micah Parsons would be the one that would have the biggest impact on his team.
Jonas Knox, 2 pros and a cup of Joe. You hear him all over Fox Sports Radio. Appreciate you, man. We got to get back to the pods. We got to get back to the Major League Baseball trade deadline, but let's check in before the NFL season actually gets underway, and we'll have some fun doing it. Thank you, Jonas.
Let's do it, guys. Thank you. I always appreciate you having me. You guys are awesome.
Jonas Knox, the absolute best to do it, man. Jeff Passan has tweeted there is a new Passan bomb out there. The New York Mets, who got embarrassed a little bit by the Padres over their last series, have made a move. We will tell you what it is coming up next. We are going to forego long shots today, Sammy. We got too much news coming out. So sorry if you've been losing money with Sammy lately, but coming up next. We are going to unveil what the Mets just did and react more to what the Padres have been doing. Coach Kentera coming up at 1:30 today. Huge thank you to Jonas Knox. Quick break. Breaking news on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
It's the MLB trade deadline. We got deals flying left and right. Padres making big plays. I also am thinking about, we're going out to Vegas in a few weeks, and then I'm going to enter into Circa Million and Circa Survivor. Circa Million, though, you pick 5 games against the spread each week. So if you think you know more than Vegas, hop into Circa Million. It's $1,000 entry. You can get 10 of your friends, go $100 a pop, or go all in with the 1,000 yourself. Maybe you want some action on opening night. Maybe you like Dallas to cover the spread +7 against Philadelphia. Maybe think the Chiefs beat the Chargers by 2.5 in Brazil. Ravens Bills night game. Bills favored by 1.5. Does Lamar get revenge? John Harbaugh just said he was one of the best passers he's ever seen. Cincy -5.5 against the Browns. Who's playing defense for the Bengals? I don't know. But all you got to do is pick 5 games each week against the spread instead of doing side bets with your boys where they may stiff you on payment. Play Circa Million. Listen, we also get it if you're busy. You don't have time to pick 5 games against the spread each week. This is where Circa Survivor comes into play. All you need to do is pick 1 game each week. Once you burn a team, you can't pick them again. It's $1,000 buy-in. Same thing as Circa Million. Get 10 friends for $100 each. The fun thing about doing it with the friend group is that one person gets to make the pick at the end of the day. If they're wrong and they sell everyone, you get to make fun of them for the rest of the year. Sign up in Nevada, play from anywhere, and win your money now with Circa.
Woo! Sammy, I'll be honest, these are the days we live for here in sports. These are the ones that do it. We got breaking news all over the place. Both New York teams making moves within the last 10 minutes. So let's start with the New York Mets. By the way, Ben Fletcher, Sammy along with you. We'll be with you till 2 o'clock today, covering all things Major League Baseball trade deadline. And coming up at 1:30, we got a treat for you. The coach, as in Kentera, is jumping on the show to break down everything the Padres have done so far. But sticking in the National League, the New York Mets have finalized a deal to acquire center fielder Cedric Mullins in a trade with the Baltimore Orioles. So the Mets are now gearing up for war for the postseason. And how about the Yankees acquiring right-handed reliever Jake Bird from the Rockies for second baseman Rock Riggio and left-hander Ben Shields? That's per ESPN. All of this per Jeff Passan. Like we were talking with Jonas, there are so many fake accounts out there right now that are going to try to trip you up today. I've seen one that Dylan Cease has already been traded. He is not as of right now. So be careful out there. I got Jeff Passan's official Twitter feed. That is where the final news comes from. And I would recommend you do the same. But everybody's gearing up for war in the National League, Sammy. What are the moves the Dodgers have already made?
They got Brock Stewart out of the bullpen. They just did a 1-for-1. They traded James Outman as an outfielder who was a top prospect for the Dodgers. Didn't quite pan out the way they wanted to, but should get a lot more run with the Twins. So they got some bullpen help. I think the biggest winner so far the deadline, again, we got hours to go, so there's still some major fish to fry. Sadie
Alcantara. It's been like a whole hour almost since Preller's done something.
Yeah.
Is someone checked on him? Is he okay?
He's gonna get itchy up there. But I think the Padres are certainly winners for this year. I know ESPN, we talked about with Jonas Knox, just destroyed it. You can go check out the article saying it's a D+. That's all about the future. But if you look at for this year, the Padres did get much better. I think the Phillies are also I think the Phillies and the Padres probably got improved the most. Duran going to the Phillies. The Phillies really needed a closer. That was the one thing they needed. They got a big time closer. They have a lot of setup guys, so the Phillies are going to be hell to deal with. In the Padres with this bullpen, I really do think the text line was really chiming in on this. I think another bat needs to be acquired. I like the Furman ad simply because the catching situation couldn't get any worse for the Padres. I know Elias Diaz has been better the last couple of weeks, but we'll see what Preller's got cooked up here for the next couple hours.
The catchers in general for the Padres have been on fire over the last month. They're hitting well over 300 RBIs all over the place. Elias Diaz had the walk-off hit the other night. Like the Padres catchers have been playing well.
There was the All-Star break in there.
Right, but they do add a catcher, which was needed. And we've been talking about that for months. They add Freddie Furman, who was on the Royals in exchange for Ryan Berger and Stephen Kolek. But the big one of the day so far was Leo DeVries leaving the Padres, the number 3 prospect in all of baseball, in exchange for closer Mason Miller from the A's, as well as left-handed pitcher J.P. Sears from the A's. The Padres also included 3 minor league pitchers in that deal. So Mason Miller, JP Sears coming over immediately. JP Sears is a over 4 ERA starting pitcher who, like Sammy said a little bit earlier, is tricky. People have a hard time hitting him. And then Mason Miller, who is a gas throwing, averaging over 100 miles per hour per pitch this season so far. It just adds to this bullpen for the Padres, which has been on fire all year, but has been overworked all year. So the Padres needed to add a bullpen arm. I'm positive on that. They do with closer Mason Miller coming over. And it's a guy, by the way, who has 4 more years of control after this season, that he started as a starting pitcher. And the Padres could plan to move him to become a starter in years in the future. This year, he will be a bullpen piece. I love that deal. I really do. A lot of people in San Diego pissed off about Leo DeVries leaving the team. I get that. He is a huge prospect in baseball. A lot of people saying he could be the number 1 overall prospect in Major League Baseball come next season. But who cares about next season? AJ Preller can't care about next season. The Padres can't care about next season because who knows if there's a cliff Xander Bogaerts hasn't fallen off of yet. It might be coming next year. Manny Machado, how many more years of him in his prime do you have? Fernando Tatis Jr. just breaking into his prime. This team is built to win right now. They've added pieces for right now.
Text us 70470. Start your message with team. Let us know. 70470. Start your message with team. Well, I think that's the real question is for this year, they certainly got better. I understand AJ Preller not caring about prospects because why does AJ Preller care about prospects? He doesn't have it. His deal runs through next season. And so why would he keep all these guys that could be good 2 or 3 years down the road? So he's ousted because the Padres just go to the playoffs and kind of flame out like the team was kind of probably headed to if they made no additions. And then whoever comes in gets to benefit from having these top prospects. Now, it's tough to differentiate because yes, for this year, it's extremely exciting. I understand, like I got a lot of friends who have been blowing me up. Like I hate this. I think this is ridiculous. Why would you trade DeVries for a closer? Now, Miller's probably moving to the starting rotation next year. He's probably going to be a in the bullpen for the rest of this season to create really a 5-headed monster, assuming no one else gets traded, and then become a starter. The one concern would be that Miller did get moved to the bullpen for Oakland, for the A's, because they were worried about some injury history. But as Fletch, you just mentioned, they have that control for the next few seasons. So I think it's a big move, but I do understand the people who are frustrated with the fact that you gave up that kind of prospect, not for a bat, not for a big time slugger, but for a guy who's a closer and then could be a starting pitcher. I understand where people could feel that way.
Today's about you. We want to hear from you. Sammy, we actually got a couple new talkbacks. I want to play both of them. So check those out right now. We'll start with the one from John. But we got a couple new talkbacks, and that's the way to talk to the show today. So open up the free iHeartRadio app, go to San Diego Sports 760. Once you're listening live, you'll see a little red microphone icon up in the upper right-hand corner. Leave us your thoughts. You got up to 30 seconds. Tell us everything you feel about the Padres trade so far. Are you pissed that Leo DeVries is gone? Are you pumped that this bullpen just got bolstered? You could go a lot of different ways with this. We got John ready to go. Let's hear from him.
Hey, guys. I'm usually a positive Padre fan, but this has been a tough day. We gave up way too much for all these trades. AJ knows he's only got 1 year left, and this is not a good idea. Cannot give up Leo for 2 pitchers, plus 3 other prospects, and then give 2 great pitchers for a catcher who's not that good. He's way overpaid for everything. Not good.
I can understand you thinking like that. I really can, John. And when I first saw the catcher deal go down with Kolek and Bergert leaving, I felt similarly because I think Bergert and Kolek have both had really nice seasons for the Padres so far. There's a lot of ways to think about this. Plenty of people online thrashing AJ Preller today. Plenty of people online praising AJ Preller today. I really do feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I appreciate that AJ Preller, if he is going out on a shield, he's going out the way he came in, which is trading everyone, being risk
averse.
Not even risk adverse. He's going for it. He is being risky. He's the rock star GM, and that's what he's doing right now. And you got to appreciate that about AJ.
Well, this is going to be a conversation revisited because I understand that thinking. Like I'm getting blown up right now. People are like someone on Twitter calling AJ Preller Nico Harrison, which I don't agree with.
I've seen plenty saying AJ Preller must be wasted right now.
I get both theories. We're gonna know because if the Padres go win a World Series, then obviously it's a franchise altering,
it's
city
gonna be
altering
pure silence from everybody who hated this
move. But the other side to what I believe John was it who said is if they go to the playoffs. And by the way, this is not just win a series. This team is not like win a series and get blown out in the NLDS or the NLCS is not a successful season. That's not, this team is projecting they're going World Series or bust. So if they lose to the Brewers or the Dodgers or the Phillies or the Cubs or one of these teams in the NLCS, I think we're going to look back at that and knowing that Bogarts is aging, knowing that Manny Machado's aging, what's going on with, and you look at the pipeline, which was already thin. We were talking about on Tuesday with Kevin Acee. Now you lost your number one prospect. Then I understand people being like, this is an awful day. You also gave up 3 pitching prospects. But if Miller comes in as an absolute stud, you go far in the playoffs and win the whole thing, then obviously you have that going for you.
Let's squeeze in one more talk back here. We got one from Handyman Matt, who is taking some shots at my beer preferences. Do you have Matt ready to go, Sammy? Let's hear it.
Fletch, my man, are you ready for the funeral that is your Coors? Because you can't be a Coors fan now because San Diego's Miller time only for the next 4 years. So got to change your light beers, baby.
Look, I don't hate the champagne of beer. I don't hate a Miller Lite. I really don't. I am a Coors Light boy. It's been my dream endorsement for my entire life. San Diego's got a lot of great beer options. If we want to make it Miller time, hell, once per game, I could switch beers. All right? For 1 inning at a time, I could switch beers. His starting days, if those are coming down the line, it might be a rough day for me.
Hey, he's got branding infinite down here in San Diego.
He really does, man. This I do think is a good day so far for the Padres. I'm not going to go so far as to say it's a D plus like ESPN said.
Yeah, that feels aggressive.
That's outrageous because if they go out and win a World Series this year, it's nothing other than an A plus.
And let's get to this on the other side, but I think there's something to do with the fact the Soto deal is why ESPN's bashing it. I don't agree with ESPN, but I think there's something
likes
there.
Prospects. ESPN has their rankings. They're the ones who have Leo DeVries so high.
They want to sound smart.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. San Diego Sports 760. Hour number 2 is coming up next. Coach Kentera is coming up in hour number 2 to react to what the Padres have done so far, and maybe predict what the Padres are going to do over the next couple hours. We got 2 hours left on trade deadline day. What is AJ Preller and the Padres going to do? We'll find out. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport sponsored by the Jim Buttrell Real Estate Team. The massive deal of the day that we keep talking about. Mason Miller, headed to the Padres, star closer formerly for the A's, who has thrown 104 on the gun before. JP Sears, starting left-hand pitcher, will also be coming in the deal. Leo DeVries was the main prospect that was given up, along with 3 other pitching prospects. In the NFL Hall of Fame game getting going tonight between the Lions and the Chargers. That'll start at 5 o'clock on NBC. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Buttrell has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
Welcome to the Fletch Zone.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
No fluff, just facts.
So, you thought the MLB trade deadline was a safe space, huh?
Feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
AJ Preller grabs A's closer Mason Miller.
Miller at the belt, the right-hander to the plate. The 2-2 pitch is swung on, a fly ball to center field, and Lawrence will make the catch, and the A's get the victory.
And pitcher JP Sears. But at what cost? Plus, we made it. NFL football returns tonight with a Hall of Fame game between the Chargers and the Lions. Let's go! Okay, maybe overstating a bit, but it's football, and that's what matters. Now, live from the studios of San Diego Sports 760, it's the Fletch Zone.
Let's get it going, baby. Hour number 2. These are the days we live for in sports radio. Thank you for everybody who's been with us. If you're just checking us out for the first time, my name is Ben Fletcher. That is Sammy Long. We are with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then, and we are going Padres trade deadline all day long. We got about 2 hours left in the trade deadline. Nobody thinks AJ Preller is done. So let's freaking see what's going to happen here. We got tons of text reaction coming in, tons of talkback reaction coming in on the talkback mic. If you don't know what that is, open up the free iHeartRadio app, listen to San Diego Sports 760, and you're going to see a little red microphone icon. You could leave us a 30-second message on that app, and we'll be able to play it here on air. Now, 2 trades the Padres have done so far, just resetting the table. We expect for there to be more to come, but Leo DeVries and 3 Padres pitching prospects got sent over to the Oakland, Las Vegas, Sacramento Athletics in exchange for a closer, Mason Miller, who throws 101 miles per hour on average, can get up to 104, as well as a starting pitcher, JP Sears, who's coming over to the Padres. That kind of opens you up to potentially move Dylan Cease here before the trade deadline comes. And then the second move they made was moving both pitchers, Stephen Kolek, as well as Ryan Berger, for a catcher by the name of Freddie Furman, who was on the Kansas City Royals. Coach John Kentera, who's going to be on the show today at 1:30, has put out a tweet saying that Freddie Furman is a great all-around catcher. I was hoping the Padres would get him 3 years ago. Tremendous upgrade for the Pods. He's a great receiver and has hit well in his career, not going to hit for power, but a 268 career hitter, 255 this season, plus he's under team control for a few years. We're starting to see a bit of a trend with AJ Preller, aren't we? Where he is willing to dig into your prospects a little bit, to dig into some young talent, a la Leo DeVries, a la Ryan Berger and Stephen Kolek, to get guys who they're going to have under control. Mason Miller going to be under control through the 2029 season, and Freddie Furman under control for a few years as well. So Preller's been cooking. He's doing very AJ Preller things so far. Sammy, it has been a whirlwind of a day, and we still got 2 hours left.
Yeah, this is really exciting to see what happens in the next couple hours, because it's all really feels like starting pitchers are left. Everyone was kind of an arms race for all the closers. Padres getting Mason Miller, Duran going to.
Has Stephen Kwan been moved?
No, not yet.
Then there's still bad out there that the Padres are interested in.
Well, Duran went to the Phillies, and then Bednar went to the Yankees. Brock Stewart went to the Dodgers. So it feels like the NL, I know the Yankees, the AL, but everyone's really trying to get a closer. Now it's kind of like who's gonna fold for a starting pitcher. The Astros have 1-1. The Yankees have 1-1. Alcantara, rumor to the Yankees. Been a lot of kind of gas and smoke where there's fire a little bit between the Astros possibly getting Dylan Cease. Maybe are the Diamondbacks trading Kelly or Gallen. Listen, this is a massive day for this season. It certainly puts the Padres in the World Series conversation. The NL feels like it has the bulk of the really good teams. I feel like the AL, especially with Aaron Judge getting hurt for the foreseeable future, that could be the Mariners to lose, even though the Tigers have had one of the best records in the league. But yeah, I mean, there's so many dynamics here. I'm surprised. Like, I want to know, and I guess we'll get this in coming days, in coming weeks, or after the season, how much ownership, who has been fighting, like Shiel Seidler came out today and defended AJ Preller, was okay with this. They obviously had to okay it, but considering that AJ Preller's contract's up at the end of next season, it feels like a very pro Padres win now and pro AJ Preller move, because there's no sense for AJ Preller to be holding on to prospects that he's going to get fired for if they don't go win a World Series, if they hadn't made the deal. So I'm just really curious about how much ownership had involved. Does AJ Preller get extended? What's AJ Preller's leash? Like, if is it to literally go win a World Series this year?
He just traded Leo DeVries. I don't think he has a leash.
Right. So
for this year,
if he makes the World Series, is he safe?
I think he's probably safe no matter what. I think this was ownership committing to AJ Preller and saying, yeah, do what you want. You got a job. Jim Russell has a tweet up, and I'm not positive who wrote this article, but it looks like it's either a Dennis Lin or Kevin Acee article saying this: the Padres, according to people familiar with their thinking, are still determined to acquire a left fielder before 6 p.m. Eastern time. AJ Preller still has some interesting minor leaguers left to offer, including catcher Ethan Solis. So potentially the entire farm system is gone within the next 2 hours. We'll see. Craziness could still be coming. Dylan Cease could still be moved. Padres have a lot of pieces that could still be moved before 3 o'clock happens. All right, Sammy, we got another talk back here at the end of the last hour that I'd love to play from our buddy Rick. We got that ready to go from Rick from Ventura.
We also have some breaking news out of the MLB. Carlos Correa is getting traded from the Minnesota Twins back to his hometown, the Houston Astros.
Wow. Can Correa even play anymore?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He's filthy still. That's a big ad for the Astros. Astros and Mariners are like trying to run up in the AL.
The Mariners have gotten real filthy today. In fact, I think they might be the favorite right now in the American League. All right, Sammy, let's hear from Rick, and then we will continue this Padres talk on the other side. What do we got from Rick?
Shake and bake, guys. It's Rick from Ventura. You know what? Padres had top-notch farm system for years, and guess how many championships they got us? Nothing. So look, might as well do it now. Ow!
Might as well do it now. I kind of agree with you, Rick. Look, you don't know how much longer Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis Jr., these contracts that you have going for a long, long time. By the way, Yu Darvish included in that, who's nearing his 40s. You don't know how much longer this window is going to be open. The window for a World Series is for sure open as of this exact moment. So you might as well go all in.
Do you think that Darvish's performance yesterday had something to do with them trying to get, like, if Darvish was awful yesterday?
He was spectacular, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was fantastic. But let's just say he had been awful. Do they make this move today? Because if you make this move, basically what you're saying is right now you believe in your starting rotation enough to where you can hand it to the pen and go win you a lot of games heading into the postseason. Yu Darvish certainly turned the trajectory of his season around, because it looked like, we're talking a week ago about, is this guy need to be shut down again? I mean, is his elbow, his velocity was down. Yesterday he was fantastic. I mean, went 7 innings and he didn't even throw that many pitches. He was like hanging in the 70s or early 80s, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, the fact that Michael King must be positive news there. And then, I mean, this bullpen is going to be fantastic. I'm just curious if Mason Miller becomes a starter next year.
I think he will become a starter next year. I think that's the plan. You got him under control for 4 years. You obviously are going to need starting pitching help. Yu Darvish's performance yesterday, I think, took the leash off of AJ Preller. I think that understanding, and look, it's one game. He's had 3 bad ones and 1 good one since he's come back from injury. But Yu Darvish looked like Yu Darvish once again yesterday. In fact, Sammy, we were complaining after the first inning because of long shots that he'd thrown too many pitches. That was the fewest amount of pitches he's ever taken in through a 7-inning start. And I think he finished with like 76. Yu Darvish was fantastic yesterday. He was all over it. So I think that helps them out at the trade deadline and makes them feel a little bit better about potentially moving Dylan Cease, which may come down in the next hour or so. All right, let's get to some of these YouTube comments. Our buddy Alexander, who we actually went out on Slurpee Day and celebrated with.
Alexander.
He said, Fletch better grow his beard out until the 49ers are officially eliminated from playoff contention.
Well, the good news is that you'll get to shave it pretty quickly.
No, my wife was actually starting to complain about the beard last night, so I think it's leaving pretty soon. Paris says, not sure about all these trades from the Padres. Look, there's a lot of people on either side of the fence for this one, and I get the points either way. I am leaning more towards, you know what, just sell everything off and let's make this thing a freaking superstar. The thing with that,
though, is like, it's exciting today. It's exciting for this season, but we saw what happened with the James Wood deal. We saw what happened with the Juan Soto deal, and I'm not going to kill Preller for making that.
I'm not even going to say those were a failure. You had a crack at a World Series.
Well, it was a failure. Obviously,
it ended up being a failure, but you had a shot at it.
That trade was not a success. Are you sitting here telling me that trade
you don't end up with Dylan Cease or Luis Ariz if you don't trade for Soto?
I know, but Dylan Cease is being talked about being moved today.
Or Michael King.
Okay, would you rather have them, or would you rather have James Wood, CJ Abrams, and Mackenzie Gore?
Yeah, of course, but I'm not going to blame them for making the Soto deal. You had to make the Soto deal.
I'm saying that. I'm not blaming them for making the Soto deal.
And I don't think I'm going to blame Preller for this one.
Well, no, this just feels like you're doubling down. You're at the blackjack table. You keep splitting 11s. You keep splitting 7s. This is what it feels like. And I'm not blaming Preller for doing that, but I understand why people are frustrated with a farm system that was already depleted. We talked about how they weren't really had any ability to make moves. Now, did we all know coming into this that DeVries was on the market, on the table? Probably not. It seemed like, per a lot of reports leading up to the deadline, those two were untouchable between Salas and DeVries. But listen, you're going all in. You better go win it. It kind of comes out of that.
It does indeed. All right, we got plenty to go here on the show today. Coach Kentera at 1:30. I'm going to leave us a little extra time on the other side because we've got a couple new talkbacks that I want to play. If you want to leave a talkback, if you want to interact with the show today, the best way to do it is on the free iHeartRadio app. Open that bad boy up, listen to San Diego Sports 760, and you'll see a little red microphone icon up in the upper right-hand corner. Click that. You can leave us a 30-second message. We're going to hear from Dan coming up next, who has some thoughts on AJ Preller's tenure as the GM of the San Diego Padres. And I think this is an interesting jumping off point to get into some conversation. Coach Kentera at 1:30, reacting to the moves that have already been made, forecasting the moves that are still to come. Can't wait to talk with the coach. All that coming up here on San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. We're going to get back to the trade deadline in just a second, but our iHeartRadio Music Festival is back. Live performances from Ed Sheeran, Mariah Carey, Tim McGraw, and more September 19th and 20th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage. Buy tickets now at AXS.com. Get them now before they sell out. And while the world is listening on iHeartRadio, you could be there. 3 chances every weekday for you to win your trip for 2 plus $1,000 in spending cash. We've got your first chance to win this upcoming Monday at 9 a.m. All the info at sportsSD.com/festival. All right, Sammy, we've been using the talkback mic a ton today, which has been a ton of fun. Love hearing from you guys out there in the world. And we got some good ones. In fact, can I hear Quacked on Padres reactions to the Padres trade deadline so far? Really just need about 1 second.
Yeah.
Give it to me again.
Oh, yeah.
Quacked, congratulations. You are the first listener ever added to the wall of drops here on the Fletch Zone, and you are never leaving. Give it to me again, Sammy.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
People who just tune in have no idea what's going on.
So we were asking for reaction on the talkback mic to what the Padres have been doing so far. And Quacked on Padres thinks, oh, yeah. And you know what? I appreciate it.
I don't like when you do it.
Why not?
It just sounds a little weird. Quack does it a lot better than you.
Can I get a...
Yeah.
That's when you were supposed to play Quacked. Gosh. We were so close. We want to try one more time?
No, they'll be for later.
Okay, let's hear from our buddy Dan. Sammy, I like it when you buy into things. You're being too cool for school, man. Our buddy Dan up in Orange County, he also has reaction on the talkback mic from the Padres trade so far today. Can we hear from Dan?
Hey, guys, this is Dan from Orange County. Can I get a...
Oh, yeah.
Dan gets it.
Hey, all I got to say is the last 5 years have been super entertaining with the Padres, and that aligns with AJ Preller. So things may not seem like they are working out on the surface, but let's just sit pat, trust what he's doing, and see what the entertaining product is on the field. Let's go.
Look, AJ Preller's earned that. I do think so. You look at Petco Park, 45,000 people on a random Tuesday night. That is in large part due to AJ Preller. And of course, Peter Seidler signing the contracts. But AJ Preller has made this into... Look, I remember what it was in 2019. All right. I went to a lot of those Padres games. There was maybe 15,000 people there. It was a bar with baseball going on in the background with guys like Eric Lauer and Joey Lucchese and Dinelson Lamet on the mound. There wasn't a whole lot going on. AJ Preller, Peter Seidler, Padres ownership has turned that into a 45,000 people attended party every single night of the week, no matter when. School nights don't matter. It's been cool to see. Now, I did notice that our buddy Dan, he's jumping on the trend of the oh yes. Sammy doesn't like it. I can tell.
No. You got to set it up better so people understand what's going on.
I think the people get it. Can we hear both of them smushed together? How about both of them smushed together? You have that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whoa, dude. We got freaking Quacked on Padres and our buddy Dan up in Ventura who are just going for it today based on what AJ Preller's been doing at the trade deadline. If you've missed it, Preller's done a lot so far. He has traded for a catcher by moving both Stephen Kolek and Ryan Berger for Freddie Furman, who is a catcher in the Kansas City Royals area. Coach Kentera, who's going to be joining us in about 10 minutes, loves the trade, loves what Freddie Furman can bring to the Padres. And he also made a deal to bring closer Mason Miller from the Oakland A's and left-handed pitcher JP Sears, as well as getting rid of Leo DeVree in that trade. But the closer Mason Miller, the dude throws gas. 104 so far on the year, averages around 101. It's been a crazy day so far, to say the very least, and I don't think AJ Preller's done yet.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what's up with Dylan Cease. I mean, we keep hearing his name all around. Like this morning, it was like, okay, Dylan Cease is gone. Now there's been reports that maybe they're just going to keep Suarez and Cease. It felt like we heard forever that the reason why they weren't going to reach in the prospect pool because they didn't want to touch DeVries or Salas. Obviously, they ended up touching, sending DeVries out of town and getting a big haul for that. It was always kind of what we thought of talking to Kevin Acee and Coach Kentera: addition by subtraction. So you're going to send kind of buy and sell at the same time. You're going to send Cease or Suarez, try to get guys back. I really do feel like this team, since they're going all in, obviously that's the thing. They basically said F the future. We're going into Winter World Series this year, which I get. I understand people who are frustrated with that, and I understand people who are like, listen, like what I believe John said earlier. Hey, we've had prospects for years, we never won. So I appreciate AJ Preller going all in. I just wonder, like, I think another bat is needed. And Stephen Kwan's been the name that everyone's been going after. It sounds like it's down to the Dodgers and Padres. And Cleveland has seemed like they're selling off a little bit, especially with the Class A gambling probe. So I'm just, we'll see if Preller has something else cooked up in the next hour. But I even like the edge move of Freddie Furman. Like the catching situation, even though Diaz and them have been better the last few weeks, I think going into the playoffs, having massive faith in those two guys, they may get a hit in a big spot. I don't know if is realistically fair to the Padres. So I like that they kind of did some edge moves in Furman as well.
The Diamondbacks are officially done for the year. They move Eugenio Suarez a little bit earlier today to the Mariners, who actually are setting up as a real power in the American League. The Phillies have been very, very active today, strengthening their bullpen and their lineup. The Mets have been active, getting Cedric Mullins from the Orioles. So the National League, it does feel like is gearing up for war.
Where do they stack right now?
There might be two teams in the American League who are really going all in. It feels like the National League, everyone's going for it. Dodgers are still number one in the National League, and that's not going to change, I don't think, today, no matter what. The Mets, the Padres, the Phillies, everyone's going for it. And that's a good thing to see. I don't know that I'm even interested in necessarily stacking them and ranking them right now, because the fact of the matter is, once it gets into the postseason, that takes care of itself. And we know in baseball, more so than any other sport, you get into the postseason in baseball and anything can happen. So the Padres are trying to put themselves in the best position possible to get into the postseason, whether it's a wild card round or a divisional round. They're not that far behind the Dodgers right now.
Well, I'm with that, but I think the city's moved on from making the playoffs.
Yeah, of course, Sammy, but making the playoffs is the first step to get into a World Series.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying they went all in. They mortgaged the future. So people are not going to be happy if they make the playoffs and they win a series. This is to win a World Series, to make the World Series. You don't do this kind of move. You've said this forever. You said there. I mean, how many years left do you have? Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando's going to be here for years. But like of these guys, some of the vets on this team, Yu Darvish, hell, he's 38 years old. Like, how long are you going to have these guys? So I think the stacking, like the NL's loaded. The Padres certainly have put themselves in a position to make a push to the World Series. Yes, anything can happen. It's a lot like the NHL playoffs. If you have a hot pitcher, if you have a hot goalie, you can maybe win as a lower seed. But I mean, the NL stacked. The Dodgers are getting healthier. They've been struggling recently, a little bit better the last week or so. The division's back in play. It's only a three game lead, and then the Padres and Dodgers are going to play here in about 2 weeks. And then the Phillies getting a big time closer. The Brewers are probably been the best team. Well, have been the best team in baseball over the last month and a half. The Cubs. So there's a lot of teams there. I do feel like you could argue with a lot of those teams if the Padres are better than them or not. But I don't think the city is going to be okay with just making the playoffs and winning a round.
I don't think so either. And I think the Padres are doing what they can right now to make sure they get as far as possible. Now, the other interesting angle of this is AJ Preller, whose contract does run out next season. And I'll tell you, my first reaction when I saw that Mason Miller trade this morning and understanding Leo DeVry, who was the top prospect in the farm system, leaving, I was like, oh my God, AJ Preller is going all in because he knows his job is coming up next year. And it's either win a World Series right now or he's done. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, okay, well, ownership probably wouldn't let him get rid of their best prospect if they thought they were going to be firing him next year. So I kind of think that this was an endorsement from ownership. And 747 disagrees. He says, Fletch, I couldn't disagree with you anymore. I think AJ told ownership, please give me one last chance. And ownership said, okay. I don't think AJ gets an extension until the season is over. Win a World Series and you'll retire as the Padres GM. If not, he will be gone.
That's because I mean, this
why would they let him if they're thinking they're going to fire him?
Well, because he is the GM right now. And it's like, you also have the other aspect of you have two groups who are fighting for ownership. Shield Seidler came out and put a tweet out really defending AJ Preller.
Right, which I actually thought was cool from Shield. But that's a couple years away anyways, that lawsuit.
Yeah, I know. But like, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't heard anything from John Seidler today. Like, we're going to see. This is going to be at the end of the year.
John Seidler since the offseason, dude.
But yeah, that's a good point. But again, this goes back to if you go win a World Series, obviously you'll retire as Padres GM. If you get to the World Series, you might have some slack for the next few seasons to try to run it back. But anything outside, like we've seen this team beat the Dodgers. So it's past the whole, oh, can you beat the big bad Dodgers? Yes, the Padres have beaten the Dodgers. That's gone out the window. Can you win a playoff series? They won a playoff series in the wild card last year. They got to the NLCS against the Phillies a few years ago. It's past that. And I think we're going to see if the Padres get bounced in the NLDS or the NLCS, I'm like AJ Preller job is probably done. Like, because you've went in twice now for Soto and then Miller and these guys, and if it hasn't worked out and you really mortgage the future, I don't think he can be back under this ownership.
We got Coach Kentera coming up next. He's going to put his stamp of approval on this. Coach really likes the deal for the catcher. I don't know if I'm right there yet, but Freddie Furman is a Padre now. Stephen Kolek and Ryan Berger, both not catchers. We'll get coach's opinion on that. We'll get coach's opinion on Mason Miller and JP Sears. We'll get coach's opinion on what he thinks happens over the next hour and a half. Coming up next, it's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Coach John Kentera up next.
The sport is sponsored by the Jim Buttrell Real Estate Team. Padres' big move of the day, getting Mason Miller over from the A's along with JP Sears. They did give up Leo DeVries, top prospect in the MLB for the Padres. And then the Hall of Fame game gets going tonight. Chargers, Lions, 5 o'clock. Detroit is currently favored by 1.5 in the first game of the preseason. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Buttrell has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
We didn't have to hold our breath long. AJ Preller has made another move from Jeff Passan of ESPN. The San Diego Padres are finalizing a deal to acquire first baseman Ryan O'Hearn and outfielder Ramon Laureano from the Baltimore Orioles. Sources tell ESPN. Ramon Laureano hitting .290 this year, 15 home runs and 259 at-bats. And then Ryan O'Hearn, so far this season, hitting .283, first baseman, 311 at-bats on the year, 2.1 WAR, and 13 homers on the season. Those are two bats who, at least according to Jeff Passan, are potentially coming to the San Diego Padres, saying the Padres are finalizing a deal. We do not know who is leaving the Padres to make that happen. And right now, seems like good as time as any, the coach, John Kentera, joining the show, the man who's covered the Padres more than just about anyone living. Coach, how we doing today?
I'm doing very, very well. Our hometown ball club got a hell of a lot better since I woke up this morning. I can tell you that. I'm very excited about all of these moves. And if this deal with Baltimore comes through, that's going to be icing on the cake. Ryan O'Hearn, he plays first, but he's also a DH. In the last hour, it sounded like he was probably headed to Bruce Bochy and the Texas Rangers, because he's also a guy that's real close to Arlington. He's from Frisco, Texas, but this is a great get, big-time power hitter. He can fill the DH spot. He can play a little first. And Ramon Laureano, he's had an interesting career. I've always liked him, but, he got dinged a few years back. He got suspended for a while, and I thought he may show up here in San Diego when Bob Melvin was here, because Bob Melvin managed him with the Oakland Athletics, but he's had a really, really nice bounce-back year so far with Baltimore.
Yeah, Ramon Laureano, he's bounced around. He was with the A's, he was with the Guardians, he was with the Braves, he was most recently with the Orioles, which is where it appears the Padres are getting him from. But hitting 290 this year, 15 home runs. I mean, these are two serious bats if this report is finalized. That the Padres have just gotten. Again, within the last couple minutes, Jeff Passan tweeting out that the San Diego Padres are finalizing a deal to acquire both first baseman Ryan O'Hearn and outfielder Ramon Laureano from the Baltimore Orioles. Coach, who do you think is leaving San Diego in that deal, or is it crazy to even speculate?
Well, I think it's kind of crazy to speculate, but this is going to tell us whether or not the ownership wants to spend a whole lot of money, because in the first couple of deals today, really, they weren't spending a whole lot of money. I think that was one of the reasons we saw, the second pitcher. I don't know if it was Berger or Kolek who ended up being the second guy thrown in that deal for Freddie Fermin, but I think they were trying to balance out the money from that first deal, getting J.P. Sears and Mason Miller, because there wasn't a lot of money going from San Diego up to the A's. And all these guys the Padres acquired. Now, I haven't looked, obviously, at O'Hearn and Laureano's contract. Laureano's been in the big leagues for a while, so he's probably making a pretty good sum, and O'Hearn's probably making fairly decent money. But I think in those first couple of deals, there wasn't a whole lot of money spent. But, we can take the deals as you want to throw them at me, and I'll tell you what I think. But they get O'Hearn and Laureano and what they've already acquired on the Hill and with the catcher. Padres can be real players in the National League. And I'll tell you this, I'm still waiting on what the Dodgers are going to do. So far, they've only picked up Brock Stewart, a guy they had a few years ago. He's having a really good year with Minnesota. They gave up at least James Outman for him. The Mets have had a good day. The Phillies have had a good day. I think the Yankees have had a good day. And Houston just picked up Carlos Correa. So they're doing a good job. And they also got Jesus Sanchez a few minutes ago from Miami, so they've definitely upgraded. But the Padres, they've made some great moves today. I mean, I don't think anybody can argue with any of these moves, even though they gave up Leo DeVries. Leo DeVries wasn't going to be here for 3 years. You got Bogarts, and you never know how a prospect's going to pan out.
So, Coach, piggybacking on that, obviously breaking news with Padres acquiring a couple new bats, but going to the trade this morning, Mason Miller, J.P. Sears, how do you think they fit in? Is Mason Miller going to close? And then with the DeVries point, are you frustrated that they gave up DeVries for a closer versus a bat, where some people have mentioned online?
No, I'm not. DeVries is so young, and he's got so much to learn. He's playing, high A ball, doing a pretty good job. Not hitting for a big average, but again, he's 18 years of age, hadn't quite turned 19 yet. Switch hitter, got a lot of talent, but got a lot of work to do. And you don't see him being up here in the next 3 or 4 years. And again, how long is Bogarts going to be the Padres starting shortstop? A year ago, they wanted to move him to second base, and then out of necessity to injuries, they brought him back to shortstop at the end of last year, and he's been there all there this year and done a very nice job. But, how many more years is he going to be the starting shortstop? That's another question you got to answer. And, I heard Fletch say just before the break, I was listening to the show, and he brought up a point that I think I brought up a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's a very valid point right here. Number one, AJ wants to win now, but AJ also wants to do two things. I think probably the ownership has said, hey, we don't want to spend a ton of money at this trade deadline. See what you can do. See what you can stir up. I think he's done an excellent job to this point. And again, AJ is playing for a contract. He doesn't have a contract past next year. And, like all of us, we want to look good in front of our bosses. I mean, you guys want to do a good job down there, so they pat you on the back and give you another long-term contract. Same thing with AJ. If he wins and he doesn't spend a ton of money and go over the budget, which they're probably already over because they're going to have to, at this point in time, pay a threshold of what we'd heard, and that is all relative to change, could be about $4 million. He's doing a good job, and he's made this ball club a hell of a lot better. The Padres are a real player today.
How about the Freddie Fermin deal? You said on X that you really like the move and you really like the catcher. He's hitting around 255 this year, just a few home runs. Obviously, it is an upgrade over the offense that the Padres catchers have provided so far. But this one stood out to you a little bit more, Coach.
Well, this guy I've had my eye on for a long time, Fletch. I saw him play in person, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. It might have been his rookie year, and I said to the guy in the press box, who the hell's this guy? This guy's a really good player. They go, oh, he's Freddie Fermin. I go, well, what about him? He goes, well, he was the Venezuelan League most valuable player. He's a real good catcher, can throw, swings the bat, doesn't strike out a whole lot. When the Padres have played the Kansas City Royals over the last couple of years, Sal Perez is, normally the catcher, and he's the guy that's probably going to end up being in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And he's learned behind, working behind Perez the last couple of years. And when he plays, he's played very, very well. He throws the ball very well. He's got a great pop time, about 1.89, which is probably in the top 10 in all of baseball. It's hard to throw guys out now, but he's throwing out about 24% of the would-be base stealers this year. He doesn't strike out a lot, which I like. I think he's a 268 career hitter. The Padres that have him under control for a few years. He's 30 years of age. And it's a definite upgrade. Defensively, our two guys here right now are pretty doggone good. I think Fermin's right there with them, but he's far and away a much, much better hitter.
So as of right now, obviously we got, a little over an hour left, hour 20 in the trade deadline. Where do the Padres stack in the NL in this kind of arms race coming in the NL side?
Well, the Giants haven't done anything. Arizona, they've traded their 2 corner guys. I mean, talk about an upgrade. And by the way, there's only like 3 Major League Baseball games today. So, I'm kind of having a rough day, dealing with only 3 Major League Baseball games. And the Padres are off and the Angels are off, Dodgers are off, Giants are off. But tonight, you've got a great battle. A great battle between Texas, Bruce Bochy, the Rangers right now tied with Seattle for that 3rd and final wild card spot. They open up a 4-game series tonight up there in Seattle. And think about this. Seattle, they got Eugenio Suarez from the Diamondbacks. They got Josh Naylor last week from the Diamondbacks. So the 2 corner guys now for Seattle were playing for Arizona a week ago. They've upgraded their talent. The American League's a little more wide open. The National League, I'm going to tell you what. These teams are going to beat the living out of one another. There's some really powerhouse ball clubs right now. And with what the Padres did today, they went from being probably the 3rd place wild card team, maybe not even making the playoffs, to a definite player. And if this deal with Baltimore comes down, I don't know what they're going to give up. I still think Suarez and Cease could be in play before 3 o'clock today. But I got to tell you right now, getting Mason Miller, J.P. Sears will help that rotation out. Getting a frontline catcher going to be interesting. And if Suarez is here, I would love to be a bird on the wall tomorrow when they have a conversation with Suarez or Mason Miller, for that matter, on who's going to be the closer, who's going to be the 8th inning guy. The other thing, this made the Padre rotation a heck of a lot better today. When you line up that bullpen now, of the 4 horsemen, if they're all here, and what you added today with Mason Miller, heck, the starters only have to go 4 innings.
Yeah, we brought that up a lot today, Coach. And Mike Schultz going to have to come up with some new biblical analogy for a 5th horseman, because I don't know that there are already 5 horsemen. All right, Coach, real quick reset here. So Jeff Passan has tweeted out within the last 10 minutes that the San Diego Padres are finalizing a deal to acquire both first baseman Ryan O'Hearn and outfielder Ramon Laureano from the Baltimore Orioles. That is according to ESPN. We do not know the compensation coming back from the Padres for that one. Bob Nightingale has tweeted out within the last hour. He says this: while everyone is wondering where Padres starter Dylan Cease is going, it certainly appears that he is going nowhere and staying in San Diego. And the Padres were never going to trade closer Robert Suarez. I don't want to get into the game of Bob Nightingale sucks, because that's what a lot of people here think. I like Bob. I really do. But Bob Nightingale saying that Cease and Suarez are going nowhere. Do you agree with that?
I think it's still in play. I think AJ is probably, along with the other assistant GMs, that they've been working the phones, and I'm sure they're getting phone calls on both of those guys. But again, those guys are going to be rentals. So what you're going to get in return, I don't know. You're obviously, those guys, I can't imagine would ever go to the Baltimore Orioles because they can walk away at the end of the year. So the Padres are going to have to give up, I would imagine something fairly significant to get O'Hearn and to get Laureano, unless, Baltimore just wanted to give those guys away for whatever reason. I don't know what really the game plan is in Baltimore. They've taken a good young ball club and really kind of screwed that thing up this year, to be honest with you. I don't know. I think those guys are still in play. I think there's a lot of teams out there that would like to have Dylan Cease. I wouldn't rule out the Astros. I wouldn't rule out the Yankees, and I wouldn't rule out the Mets.
Coach, if you're running the ball club tomorrow and Robert Suarez is on this team, who's closing, Miller or Suarez?
I think I got to go with Suarez until further notice. Now, for some reason, he hits a wall and struggles, or, he's pitched a couple days in a row and Miller's been off a day. Then, Miller closes it out. And, that's a conversation you're going to have with those guys. You got to be very honest with them. And Mike Schilt today was a day off. I'm sure he's making a lot of phone calls already to his new players. But tomorrow will be a very interesting day in the Padre clubhouse. It's going to be a tough day. I mean, when you got guys going out in that first deal, you didn't have anybody, with the big ball club right now. But, Martin Maldonado or Diaz, I don't know, if they're going to try to keep three catchers, or I can't imagine that, to be honest with you, but you never know. One of those guys is going bye-bye. Whoever it is, I don't know. Kolek and Berger did a hell of a job this year. They're young. Berger's 25, Kolek's 28. Hopefully those guys have a great career going to Kansas City. But that's a tough conversation when you're sitting with a guy the day before and, you're talking about your families or, what you like to do in your spare time. And the next day, the guy's next to you, he's packing his bag up and you're giving him a hug and he's walking out. Who knows when you're going to see him again. It's a tough day in the clubhouse on trade deadline day. And these guys, I would imagine a lot of them are probably already heading to the clubhouse right now to get their gear, and they'll make their phone calls and get their text messages from their teammates or former teammates. And they want to get to their new ball club and get acclimated. But it's a tough day for a lot of ball players and families.
It's a lot like radio in that aspect, isn't it, Coach? One day everything's great. The next day, the whole world gets turned upside down. Coach Kentera,
it doesn't matter how good or bad you are. You all go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, we appreciate the hell out of you. Thank you for helping us break this down. I really thought Passan was going to help us out and give us something bigger to react to here by the end of this chat, but it doesn't look like he's going to, so we'll have to save it for the other side. But enjoy trade deadline, Coach. We got about an hour and 15 minutes left of it.
Yeah, and AJ, I don't think is closed his toolbox yet. Hang in there.
I would agree. All right, there he goes, Coach Kentera. We maybe will have news from Jeff Passan on the other side regarding that trade. Again, the latest, the San Diego Padres finalizing a deal to acquire first baseman Ryan O'Hearn and outfielder Ramon Laureano from the Baltimore Orioles. Those two guys have both had a hell of a year so far, 290 from Ramon Laureano. And then in terms of Ryan O'Hearn, the first baseman / DH, 283 so far on the season. The boys have been hitting and the Padres needed bats and they just got two of them. We will react on the other side if Passan graces us with yet another
better
tweet.
Have the details by the time we get back from break.
I swear to God, if we go to John and Jim without the details on this trade, who's leaving? Because seriously, it could be more minor leaguers. It could be some guys on the major league team.
Well, the thing that you wonder, we're going to get to break, but like, if they didn't trade, because Coach just said Cease and I'm blanking out, like Cease and Suarez don't have any use for the Orioles.
Yeah, it don't make sense for the Orioles
because they're just going to leave.
So is it minor leaguers?
Is Salas gone too?
That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's silly to speculate, but maybe Passan will have something for us before 2:00 today. We are on San Diego Sports 760. We've been doing this trade deadline thing all show long. I don't want to leave, Sammy, but our final segment's coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Yeah, these are the days we live for here in sports radio. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long, thank you for finding us. If you found us today, we've been all MLB trade deadline all day long, and it has been a chaotic one, in large part due to AJ Preller being an absolute madman and shipping off pieces left and right, it seems like, and bringing in some serious talent. The latest, if you missed it, from Jeff Passan, the San Diego Padres are finalizing a deal to acquire first baseman Ryan O'Hearn and outfielder Ramon Laureano from the Baltimore Orioles. Sources tell ESPN. Both of these guys having really, really nice seasons with Baltimore, and it would appear both of them are on their way to San Diego. Now, we don't know what the compensation is yet. What we do know is Dennis Lin, as of about 10 minutes ago, tweeted out that Boston Bateman is among the prospects going to Baltimore in the Padres deal for both Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano. So prospects with an S. Boston Bateman expected to be included in that. We do not have final details yet. I'm sure you're going to hear them on John and Jim. In fact, I'm sure they're going to come out at 1:56 and 12 seconds.
That's some BS, Jeff.
Jeff Passan, do better one time. No, this is. Can you imagine being Jeff Passan on a day like today?
Yeah, the amount of Twitter impressions and X impressions he gets.
It's like he makes a good money every single year, Jeff Passan, and I bet you 75% of his salary is based on what he does today. It's an impressive job, man. I wouldn't want it. I would not want it. All right, let's run through them real quick. Padres have been involved in 3 moves so far today. The big one happened early this morning, which I think opened up the door for a lot of the other ones. The big one was to bring in Mason Miller and JP Spears from the Oakland, Las Vegas, Sacramento Athletics in exchange for Leo DeVries, who was the Padres' top prospect, as well as 3 pitching prospects who are going back to the A's. Honestly, kind of love the deal for the A's. I really do. I really, really like the deal for the Padres this year. It makes them a lot better. I think it makes them World Series contenders. Then a little bit later on, the Padres sent off both Ryan Bergert and Stephen Kolek, who've both had really nice innings for the Padres so far this year on the mound, for a gentleman named Freddie Fermin, who is a catcher from the Kansas City Royals, who is a hitting upgrade from the catchers that the Padres currently
Which means
have.
Maldonado is probably getting sent down.
Most likely. And then Jeff Passan, within the last 20 minutes, tweeted out that the San Diego Padres are finalizing a deal to acquire first baseman Ryan O'Hearn and outfielder Ramon Laureano from the Baltimore Orioles. That is according to ESPN. Dennis Lin telling us on his X account that Boston Bateman is part of the prospect package going to Baltimore in the Padres deal for Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano. And then in the middle of all that, Bob Nightingale of USA Today tweeted out about 45 minutes ago at this point that Dylan Cease and Robert Suarez are not going anywhere. That's a lot of information.
So
you got all that, Sammy? Were you taking notes?
Yes. The Robert Suarez, Dylan Cease, if they don't go anywhere, we still got an hour and 6 minutes left till the trade deadline. Certainly keeps the Padres even better for this year.
Well, now Bob Nightingale tweeted out a minute ago that the Houston Astros are still not done and say they are in deep talks with the Padres on a deal for who?
That makes sense because you don't want, if you're AJ Preller, consider you just prospects and consider that Cease would be down keeping because you want to have a five-head monster. But you're able to recoup some prospects back. I think that would be a big thing, especially considering with this deal with the new hitters, a lot of prospects going out for the Miller deals, more PC. Going like feel like a team to just lose Dylan Cease for Suarez to nothing. But I understand keeping both like it's literally just about this year. This year, I keep them might as well.
John Heyman also saying Astros are working to try to land Dylan Cease, know where it's done, but they're talking with the Padres. We have a lot going on today, man. John and Jim. Oh yeah.
That's our boy Quackton Padres, his reaction to today.
By the way, our buddy from the 619 texted today, and this was like an hour ago. We've already gone 19 million different directions with this, but that sound both amuses and entertains him at the same time, as well as grosses him out.
It's a little alarming, but it's fantastic at the same time.
Yeah. Coach Kentera was fantastic today. Jonas Knox, I forgot we even had Jonas Knox on, was fantastic today. If you missed any of it, it's up on the podcast, but a lot of the stuff from noon today is going to feel like old information as of right now. Huge shout out to our stream today. Sammy, what are we up to?
We're at 2.8 thousand today.
2.8, that otherwise known as 2,800.
2,800.
I feel like you go 2.8 when we're talking about millions.
Yeah.
But shout out to everybody who jumped on today. We appreciate
it means a lot,
you.
Man. Seriously.
If it's your first time finding us, that beautiful man over there is Sammy Long. My name is Ben Fletcher. Thank you for being here all day. And Jeff Passan, I am so mad at you right now.
Ben Fletcher, is Dylan Cease and Robert Suarez a Padre by the time we're on air tomorrow?
I don't freaking know. Jeff Passan won't tell me. I'm so mad that we didn't get the prospects that are going over. John and Jim will have them. That's coming up next. It's San Diego Sports.
Thank you to
760.
everybody on the stream.
Tomorrow, Sammy and I will be reacting to all of this madness and setting up the rest of the season for the Padres. John and Jim next. We'll see you tomorrow.